Hello and welcome. This is Michelle with PaperStampInk. Thanks for stopping by my channel where I enjoy sharing all things paper crafting. It might be cards one day, another day it might be a 3D project or a gift item or craft fair idea. So I hope that you'd like to come along with me as we learn together and I share some great ideas and products with you. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future videos. If you ring the bell, it's going to get you notifications when I post something new as well and when I go live. So today I'm going to share with you this Fun Fold Peekaboo card. So isn't this adorable? This little I love you some more. I just think that's so fun how that opens and you have this little surprise in there, and this will fit in a standard size envelope, and it's not that complicated. It looks more intimidating than it really is. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the pieces of cardstock we're going to need. So you're going to need to use a heavier weight cardstock for this because the pieces need to hold up and we are using them as our base. So for the front layer, I have a piece that is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4, scored at 2 3/4. For the middle layer, I have a piece that is 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. And then for the back, I have a piece that is 4 1/4 by 5 3/4. So, and scored at 5 1/2. So those are our pieces. Now I did most of the other die cutting and coloring, but I felt like this was just to keep this video from getting too lengthy, but I felt like this was important that we kind of do this together. So let's go ahead and score these just so you can see how everything is going to line up with our die cutting on this. It's not that complicated, but it makes it's one of those things that I think to me kind of makes a little more sense when I see it versus having someone just describe it. So this back piece is not going to have any die cutting. These are the two pieces that we're going to use our dies on. And so I use the layering circles. And this is the one right here that I used for cutting my circles out. So let's go ahead and I'm going to get a piece of washi tape, and I'm gonna take that and just stick it to my jeans a little bit here. I just don't want it too sticky because I don't want to rip that paper when it comes off, but I want to be able to hold this in place. So I am going to put my die here, and I want to go, I think, fairly far over to the side here and about midway from the top to the bottom. All right, and let me bring in my die cutting machine. It's going to be a little cramped in here. Got some paper in there already, so get that out so we can start fresh. I don't usually bring this in just because it is kind of bulky to get on the camera, but I think it's important to occasionally bring that out when there's something a little less than a simple die cut going on. All right, so I'm going to bring this panel out, and I am going to run this through. And you'll do whatever sandwich and whatever die cutting machine you have. Now I'm using circles, but you could use squares, rectangles, ovals, whatever you would like to use. And let me go ahead. I'm going to leave that on there, but take this piece off right now. And you'll see why when I get my little square in. All right, let's bring this back through so I have a platform to put this on. So the fold for this piece is going to go to the left. So we want to line this open edge up with the edge of our front card. Okay, that's going to sit there nice and neat. And once I found my pencil, that's wandered off on me apparently here. There it is. We're going to just draw a little circle in here just to give us a guide on that back panel on where we want to line this piece up. I'm going to pull that off carefully. Of course, you know, if I do get some tearing, that's okay. And you know, this is actually take 2 of the cutting, because when I cut these the first time, either I deleted that part of the video or I did not have it recording. I'm not sure which it is. So we're actually doing this again. And on my first one, I actually did have a little tear. And so you'll see I end up putting some bling on there to cover that up. Now I'm going to keep this folded, and I can cut through 2 layers at a time generally with this die and this cardstock. So I'm going to run it through once, because we do want to cut through both of those, and we want the circles to be in the same place. And I'm going to run it back through. Now if yours does not cut through, then you just do the same thing we did with the first one. You're going to use the front circle to line up and make a line for the other circle. And we'll tear this off carefully. And there we go. So now I've got the makings for another card, since I already had those in the rest of the video, which we will jump to right now. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about assembling this card. So I'm going to bring in, actually I'm going to do this front piece first. And I want to make sure I've got everything lined up, and my circles are all going to fit neatly there. Yay, that worked. And so this front panel, my folds over here on the left, this front panel is going to be glued the entire thing to the front here. Okay, so that's why I wasn't worried about whether this was ripping or not, because it's all going to be covered up. Oh, get that up before it becomes a mess. Don't put your other piece of paper underneath where you're gluing, right? Try and keep this mostly in frame for you here on the limited space. All right, and so I am going to bring these in here, and the thing I like about the wet glue is it allows me to shimmy that so that I get it lined up neatly. There we go. And if you've got, like, looks like when I did my cutting that this might have been just a hair wider when I trimmed it. I was off just slightly, but that's okay. We can bring in some long shears and just give that a little tiny trim. There we go. Little tiny trim. Oops. Got off a little bit there on my, there we go. All right. So now that is all lined up. And let's see our dry fit here. All right. We're gonna get the, here we go, the 1/8 inch score tape. And I'll make sure to link these supplies. You could probably do a 1/4 inch if you lined it up perfectly, but you know, I think the 1/8 inch will be fine to hold this, and I don't have to worry about it being too wide. And peel this backing off, and so I got it slightly long, so we're just gonna fold that edge back in there. All right, now this is going to line up with this piece here, okay? Because this piece needs to slide, the back piece. So we're going to line this up, and that one won't get in the way, so we can just fold this over. And you know, sometimes when I've got something a little like this, I like to go ahead and also put a little dab of liquid glue on there, because that way it just gives me that extra strength of the score tape, but it also gives me the ability to shift it. We got double adhesive there to hold that down nice and tight. So I'm going to let that dry for a moment before we shift it around. And I'm just going to bring in these pieces that I colored earlier, and I'll share with you I brought out my my Copic markers. I never know how to pronounce it. I always pronounce it wrong. So I brought out my markers. There we go. And these are the colors that I used for doing the flame there. And then I used my soft suede ink to do the logs. And then I used the E00 just to give a little bit of shading on that marshmallow. Just wanted really light. And then I used these two browns, the copper, actually on the chocolate piece there. And then I used light suntan for the graham crackers. So I had fun playing with those colors. And I don't know if you've used any of these markers before, any alcohol markers, but they're a lot of fun to add to your collection. And I love the way that I can get all of that blending in there, and it's just beautiful. Boy, that sounds really kind of like I think I'm awesome. I know I'm not a color expert by any means, but when I do something that I enjoy, I feel pretty good about it. So mine do not look like some of the pros out there by any means, but I'm pleased with it for me. So let's see, we're gonna go ahead. So I've got this this little fire is going to actually go on the first panel. So we're going to see the fire first, and then when we open it up, we're going to see the some more, and that's going to make sense when we get this all put together. We're going to do a little bit of stamping together here. I've got my bear that we're going to do some coloring on the front, and the I love you more sentiment that we're going to stamp together as well. So let's get our little bear out. And I am just going to use my Memento ink there. And I'm just going to stamp him off to the side. Let's make sure I get some good coverage there. And stamp him down there. And then I'm going to use the soft suede again to stamp. Actually, let's hold off on the sentiment till I do my coloring, so that way I don't get my arm in there. Don't want to do that. So I'm just going to use the E13 for the base of my little bear here. And I'm not going to do a whole bunch of shading on this. I'm just going to keep them fairly simple. So I'm going to do one coat over the whole bear, trying to stay in the lines there. And let's fill in. And don't worry if it looks a little streaky when you put your face coat down, because when we get all the layers on, that's going to even out. And then I'm just going to come in and I'm going to do a little highlighting with this copper. So I don't have a whole lot of markers myself yet. I'm still building my collection, but I just found I'm going to have to see if they don't have duplicates of what I already have. So I just found some sets on Amazon that I put links for down below that are great if you're starting a collection, because they have a wide variety of colors. And what I liked is they had like 3 colors in each set. So, you know, you got like 3 blues or 3 greens that all went together. So you had like a light, medium, and dark, and they were much less expensive than the buying them one by one. So there was a 36 marker set, and then there were 3 different 72 marker sets, an A, B, and C, that you could get one and then continue to add to your collection as you go. So I would have liked a little bit lighter brown, just to be able to have these colors a little closer, but that's okay. We're just going to go with a little bit heavier highlighting, and I'm just trying to draw some of that in to make that line a little less harsh. And going over another time with this lighter color is also going to darken the whole thing up, so it'll be closer. And see how that's just kind of evening out those previous marks. And I'm going to just color over his little nose a little bit more, just to make that stand out. So, oops, I need to get his tail again. cute little bear tail. All right, so I'm gonna put the sentiment "I love you" on the outside. So we're gonna have the "some more" on the inside and the "I love you" on the outside. So that's gonna be cute. There's our "I love you." And then I went ahead and made a little frame to go, to go around the outside of this front panel. And I'm just going very, very light with the glue so I don't have it squeezing out the sides. Like I said, you could do as much as you wanted to this front panel and the insides as well, or as little. And I kind of like this very simple approach. Okay, so let's get our back one in first. And I found the easiest way of doing this is to actually put a little bead of glue and I did this wrong. I don't want that stuck to the front there. Hold on. We're going to bring in the baby wipe for the rescue. I'm going to get that adhesive all off of there, and I'll come in with my sand eraser if it doesn't get all that. Again, I'm not worried about getting that wet or peeling because it's not going to be seen. It's all going to be hidden. I can clean that up once it dries. All right, I need to put my, oops, there we go, my glue on the back of here and set it in place. Okay, and this is going to be the one that you're going to see first. And I'm just going to slide that over. So now we've got our little campfire. And then this panel, let's flip that in there. So this panel is going to open. And you're going to see the little some more. Okay, so this one's a little bit trickier to get into the right place. We're going to line this up. Oops, sorry. Line our circle up. And I want to hold this in place here as I close this up. There's probably an easier way of doing this. You can kind of just slide your fingers in when it's open. There we go. All right, so there we go. We've got I love you some more. Now, if your panel isn't going all the way and you want it to lay flat, you can trim a little bit off of here. We can't trim too much off because I don't want to cut into that circle, but I can shape just a tad off of there, and I think that lays a little nicer. So there we go. We've got I love you some more, and there's plenty of room for you to write your sentiment in here. And let's see what I've got for some bling to cover up where that paper tore a little bit. I don't know that I really have any deep colors. Maybe one of these peacock green, or yeah, that's pretty much the pretty peacock's pretty much the most the least sparkly and more natural colored ones that I have. And I think right there was where we had a piece that caught, and put this one down there. There we go. All covered up, and I like that green. It's still got that natural woodsy look. So I love you some more. Isn't that adorable? I hope that you enjoyed this. Make sure that you, if you haven't already done so, that you hit that subscribe button and come join me over on my Facebook group where we play and have challenges and great prizes. Until I come back again, make sure you grab your paper, stamp, and ink and do something creative.